Welcome to the Barstool College Football Show, week 11 of college football, November. We are back in New York. We've got the crew. I don't know what's happening over here. Brandon's already staring at Dan in a weird way. Is there
Not
something?
staring at Dan at all.
Well, you were. Is there something you want to get off your
We're
chest?
back in New York. It's great to be here. We were here last week, but we're back again.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me. High five. Good stuff.
Very cute. Okay, so we're going to get into the games in a little bit, but we do have to talk about the new college football playoff rankings. Dave, little brother, as you tweeted last night.
Well,
They were
I mean,
only-
and you can argue either way. I could certainly, if I was a Michigan State fan, I probably wouldn't have the intellect to put it together. But you could say, hey, we beat Michigan, we should be ranked ahead. This is why they're little brother and we're Michigan, because we're ahead of them, because that's just how it goes. They beat us. We're still ahead in the rankings because we're Michigan and they're Michigan State, and that's just strictly really reputation. There is no other way to explain why we're ahead of them, right?
So you bring up the intellect. There's somebody sitting at this desk right now with you that disagrees. This one over here thinks Michigan State should be ranked ahead of Michigan. What do you have to...
Oh, he just said that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's saying vehemently that Michigan should definitely be ahead of them.
I agree with Brandon. It's this, the rankings. The only thing you take away from the rankings is the squeeze out of Cincinnati was always going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to continue to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to get in.
How?
It's so bad.
I think they have a huge path.
They're going to lose.
If they lose, of course.
Obviously.
But if they're undefeated, they get in. Alabama's got a tough path. They got a tough road game at Auburn and the SEC championship game. Oregon's going to lose at Utah. Michigan's going to lose to Ohio State. Michigan State's going to lose to Penn State and Ohio State. Everywhere around them, there's going to be second losses.
You didn't talk about the Big 12. I think the Big 12 is still.
I think Big 12 gets in and Cincinnati gets in.
Okay, so you're saying the Pac-12 and the ACC are out?
No, Oregon's in.
I think Oregon loses to Utah. And they play
All
at
right,
Utah.
so this is where we start doing the.
Sure.
But I still think that they will find a way, whether it be two teams from the Big 10, two teams from the SEC. I think they will get squeezed out.
We do this game, I think Cincinnati's going to lose, so then we don't have to talk about it. I mean, you got to see how it unfolds.
The only thing that didn't make sense last night was them putting Oregon ahead of Ohio State, and then Michigan ahead of Michigan State. Like, they contradicted themselves.
That's true.
Like, you either, if it's head to head, then you have to do it. Either way.
What I just said, obviously I'm Michigan, but what I just said is true. It's Michigan's Michigan, Michigan State's Michigan State, so we went ahead.
There's also a weird team hanging out there at number 9. Like Notre Dame, we thought they were bad, and
Their problem is Cincinnati's.
Correct.
but their resume.
So you think they get in with Cincinnati, or you need Cincinnati to lose?
You need Cincinnati to lose, and Notre Dame doesn't have a
Yeah, like
championship game.
Notre Dame, nobody counted on them being here. We counted on them losing again, and they keep winning. So I don't know. You're gonna have.
They
to
haven't played anybody.
They kind of have. They played just as many good teams as Michigan has.
Yeah, but Michigan will figure itself out.
Michigan will figure itself out. So will State. But Notre Dame might not figure itself
has
out. That's the weird
Stanford
part.
left.
But that's really, they need a lot. I mean, again, as he
I don't
said,
think they're
but
getting in,
you
but-
need Cincinnati to lose to even, and then really theoretically you could say you need them to lose twice because Cincinnati won at Notre Dame.
I don't think Notre Dame's getting in. I think Notre Dame's an inconvenient truth for the committee right now. They're a team they didn't bank on having to deal with.
What you do, I hate this. I really don't like this part. But do you think the committee would put a one-loss Notre Dame over a one-loss Cincinnati?
No, I do not.
So they need Cincinnati to lose twice.
I do not think Notre Dame's getting in, but Notre Dame's staying up
Why'd you
there at
bring this
9.
up?
Notre Dame staying up there at 9 and 8 is strengthening Cincinnati.
You insinuate. So you were just saying it on Cincinnati's behalf.
I'm saying it on Cincinnati's behalf. And when you
definitely didn't
rank
clarify
Michigan, when you rank Michigan State, when you rank all these teams, you kind of got to look at Notre Dame too.
As what?
Because Michigan's 7, Michigan 6, Michigan State 7. Notre Dame
then you think
objectively has
Cincinnati's
a better
gonna lose
resume
twice?
than both. Don't worry about the losses. Don't worry about the losses. I'm talking about when you're ranking these teams.
You need Cincinnati and Notre Dame in together.
I don't know why your brain is going to where it's going. I'm saying right now, as you rank these teams, we're discussing Michigan and Michigan State, but Notre Dame's hanging out there with a resume just as good as them. And the committee's going to have to answer for that at some point.
Well, not really, because they're going to play really good teams and figure itself out.
Perhaps.
Well, no, they're playing really good teams. I mean,
Michigan State will work itself out. The committee is going to have to figure out something on Notre Dame.
Like Oklahoma.
They're not going to want them in at all, and they probably shouldn't get in. They're going to figure out a way to keep them out.
There's just and at
I
the
don't
end of the
understand
day,
why this is not.
because it's their one loss was at home to Cincinnati, who barely thinks again. So they need Cincinnati to lose twice.
Dan, your thoughts? Because I see that you're looking at it right now.
Well, no, I was looking at something else because I thought, looking at the rankings, the craziest thing was I think they might have just forgot to put in Penn State in the top 25.
I think they did too.
It was very bizarre.
Yeah, maybe.
They just aren't in the top 25.
But
I know
Arkansas
that they
is.
lost to Illinois and they lost to Ohio State, but they also beat Auburn. They beat Wisconsin.
Arkansas should be over Penn State. Arkansas beat Texas A&M.
Well, and that's, I didn't want to have
Texas
to bring
A&M's
that up,
top
but
10 team.
Texas
Yeah, so-
A&M is still lurking there a little bit. They were, Kirk Herbstreit said it last night, which, by the way, the ESPN unveiling thing is just the worst thing that they do. It's just way too dramatic. But A&M could make it to Atlanta still. So there's a lot of ifs.
Yeah,
but-
no, I think it's going to end up being 2 teams from the Big Ten or 2 teams from the SEC somehow. If Oregon is out and you'll have the Big 12 champion, I always just think that they'll find a way to squeeze out Cincinnati. And
Cincinnati deserves to be squeezed.
Right, that's the thing is like I want to see, I've had the same line forever. Cincinnati, if you ask me, do they deserve to be in? I'd say probably not. Do I want them in? Yes, because I want parity. I want weird things. I don't care about the first round of the playoffs because teams get blown out every single year. Sure. I had this stat last week. There's 14 first round semifinal games. 7 of them have been decided by 20 points or more. Mm-hmm. That is, if your argument is Cincinnati will just get blown out, well, guess what? Oklahoma will just get blown out. Or Oregon will just get blown out. They don't deserve it because they don't play a tough enough schedule week in and week out. I think those games that you have to play add up where like Michigan goes to Wisconsin and they have to go to Nebraska. Those back-to-back games are a lot different than playing Navy and Tulsa and all these other teams.
Every single year is different. This one you have one team that's been dominant, Georgia, everybody else. And I think for me, it's not even more teams. It's not about Cincinnati because I have no desire to see them playing, but I don't think they're that good. But you look at like what LSU did on the road to Alabama, and those games,
every week.
Playoff with 8, like something crazy fun could happen there.
You can play a bad game when you're playing Tulsa and win. You can't play a bad game in the SEC or the Big Ten and win. The thing that sucks for Cincinnati is Cincinnati's team last year was better than it is this year. So they get screwed for that because last year's team probably would be dominating more in these games. This year, they're screwed.
Zero interest in seeing them in the playoffs. Zero.
But Oregon would get smoked too, probably.
I don't know. They beat Ohio State.
I don't know if I'm interested in Cincinnati being in. I think they're going to get in. I think they're
going to go circling around. We go. Move it, Casey.
I was going to ask Ev about Ohio State, but you want me to just move on?
Well, Ohio State's very clear.
They win, they're in. If they lose, they're out.
Yeah, 100%.
Fair. Okay. Let's go to the Sling Weekend Preview. If you love watching live sports, but you're tired of paying high prices, it's time to take control of your TV experience and get Sling. Live TV starting at just $35 a month and only $10 for your first month. And starting right now, Sling gives you the access to the new Barstool Sports channel exclusively on Sling. Go to sling.com/Barstool to sign up now and get your first month starting at just $10. We are going to start in the SEC. The undeniably best team in the country, #1 Georgia at Tennessee in Knoxville. Georgia favored by 20 right now. There's just no question that Georgia is absolutely the best team in the country. Brandon, you've been saying that for a while. What do you think is going to happen in Knoxville on Saturday?
So I'm kind of taking a point Dan just used. It's not supposed to be this easy when you're stacking up these good teams and you're playing Arkansas and you're playing Auburn and you're playing all these teams back to back. They're making it look a lot easier than it really is. So do I believe they're going to go through the entire schedule beating teams by 20 and 30? I don't think I do. We were all in Knoxville a couple weeks ago. We saw what that stadium can be. We saw what it can feel like. I don't think Tennessee is in any danger of winning this game. I do think they're going to score points more than anybody else has against Georgia, and they're going to keep it within 20.
What time is this game?
This is a CBS.
The main CBS.
Yeah.
Dan, what do you think?
So to piggyback off what Brandon said, I'm going to take the over 56 because Georgia, I'm sick of betting against Georgia. They just demolish everyone. I go back to that game in Jacksonville when I went upstairs to do something and I came back down. It was like a 7-0 game, then it was 24-3 or something like that. Like that's what Georgia does right now. Tennessee is the best offense they're going to play or have played in terms of versatility, spreading the ball around, being able to throw it deep, like stretching their defense because that's the thing. Tempo. Georgia. If you can't hit the big shots, Georgia will they're like a python. Is the python the one that
python or a boa, but yes,
yeah,
the
boa. Slowly.
They just squeeze you to death.
Yeah.
The more that you can't throw deep, they just get closer and closer to the line of scrimmage, and they just squeeze you and squeeze you.
At least two of those stories. One story every 2 years of a python brought into a school and just
no one knows where it is. But they're a boa constrictor. The only way that you can even have a chance is to throw it over the top. I don't think Tennessee's going to win. I think they could keep it close, but again, I'm sick of betting against Georgia, so I'm going to take the over, hoping, hey, if Tennessee can score, I don't know, 20? If they can score 20.
And they give up 60.
Yeah, right, 20. I mean, a 38-20 game. I guess that would be Tennessee covering, but a 42-20 game, that would be nice. So I'm going to take the over.
Dave?
They're going to have to score more than 20, I think, to keep this in the number based on how Tennessee's defense is played at times. But I agree with what Brandon said. Is Georgia going to smoke everybody the entire season? I tend to think not. And at this point of the season, you kind of look for, at least I look for, like what teams are still going and what teams have kind of packed it in because we're late in the season now. And the Tennessee guy, he has it going. Like
Josh Heupel. He's building for the future.
Yeah, and I think they're excited there. And that was a big win that I did not expect at Kentucky. So I think they're going to be ready for this game. I think they're going to be up for this game. And I keep saying it about this game. The one thing, and I don't want to speak it into existence because I'm taking Tennessee and the over, is if the quarterback gets hurt, this will be a 1,000-point loss. He is like Milton, the back, is the worst ever. And he's going to take hits. So, but I'll go with him staying on the field. I like Tennessee. I like the over here.
Yeah, I've been saying that, like, I just feel like because there's so much parity this season that Georgia just can't just waltz through. Like, that would be too weird to have them just beat everybody by a ton and then end up just winning it all. I'm going to take Tennessee as well. And you guys are right. Like, the way that we saw them in Knoxville a couple weeks ago, like, this is the number 1 team in the country coming in. They
were sloppy when we were there.
They were. But I mean, even just like the atmosphere and whatever.
They're gonna be ready.
It's also a low-key rivalry, too.
Yes, I mean, and just I don't
Super
think
low-key.
they.
It is a rivalry between them, though. Georgia and Tennessee.
Who thinks it's?
They hate each other.
Well, everybody in the SEC.
I know that.
I know, but Georgia and Tennessee, they both feel like they belong at the top of the East, and this was a long simmering. It hasn't been anything for a while, but 20 years ago, the biggest thing Georgia ever did was beat Tennessee, and that got them back
I feel
in the
like
program.
20 years ago it was Tennessee-Florida era.
It was Tennessee-Florida. The way Georgia came back is when Veron Haynes went over the middle. They stepped on their face with a hobnail boot.
I trust
And that's
Brandon.
how Georgia came back to
Hobnail
prominence.
Boots, a great call.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to take Tennessee with the points. All right, number 6, Michigan at Penn State. Dave, Penn State favored by 1. The total at 48. 12
I
o'clock
sat here
game.
last week. I said we control our own destiny, not technically, but technically. I'll say it again. We don't technically control our own destiny, but we do because there's no chance Michigan State's going undefeated the rest of the season. Michigan runs the table. They're going to be in the playoffs. I've said this. Past years when Michigan lost, it was a disgusting loss. Like, oh my God, Wisconsin ran for 8 yards per carry. I came out of Michigan State being like, how do we not win that game? I think we go in. I think we beat Penn State, and we're setting it up for a little me versus Fat Boy again Thanksgiving weekend.
Ev, any response to that?
And by the way, before people say fat shame, I have said on the record the only time I call Ev fat is in relation to Michigan, Ohio State, and anything goes.
And I don't think he takes offense to that.
Not in this context.
Fat, I guess.
Well, I don't call it when we go. We took the elevator down. I wasn't like, hey,
did.
fat boy, get in the elevator.
We did a nice walk over. I mean, this is just. I think Penn State has to be the play. It's an all-time rat line.
Oh, I don't think it's a rat line.
I mean, number 6 on the road.
It is.
As a dog. I think it's.
I don't think it's a rat line.
You don't think so?
No, because the thing that I'm taking Michigan. So I think Michigan's going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. I think Michigan's going to be able to run the ball. Penn State in their games against Auburn, Ohio State, and then throw in Illinois have had trouble with teams that want to run the ball all day. The reason why this line is +1 is because Harbaugh hasn't won the big game. Like, he hasn't won a big game. So this is a big game, and they control all their destiny. So let me say it this way. I thought maybe that Michigan would be like -2. I never thought this game would be more than a field goal in either direction. So that way it's not a rat line.
But did it surprise you though that Penn State was favored?
A little. I thought Michigan would be favored a little, but
Yeah.
again, it was going to always be, to me, like within 3. It was going to either be Michigan -2 or Penn State -2. Like, I never thought that, like, if for it to be a rat line, Michigan would have to be like +4. I'd be like, what's going on here?
All right, fair enough.
Brandon.
Yeah, I would lean Penn State based on exactly what you've said. Jim Harbaugh doesn't win the big game. This is a big game. In fact, this is the biggest game of the season for Michigan so far. They have no more margin for error. I'm not going to bet the side, though. I'm going to bet the total. I think this game is going to be played between the 20s. I think these two defenses are going to just slug it out against each other. Aiden Hutchinson's one of the best defensive players in the country. Penn State's not explosive. I think this game is a 20-17 game, a 24-20 game, something like
I'm
that.
going to give a tip of the cap to little brother. I would still, Michigan State was still a bigger
Yeah, that's
game
definitely a bigger game.
than this.
Yeah. You're saying what's
There's more on the
Context of what you got on the line going forward, this
But
is
I mean,
now
that's just the nature of the season moving along.
you lose this game, season's over. You lost
but
to them, the season wasn't over.
Well, if Michigan State didn't lose to Purdue, it probably was. I mean, there's shit has
Michigan
happened.
State was always going to lose to Ohio State, but
Yeah, that wouldn't matter.
Michigan
That
State
wouldn't
was
and
the
matter.
top 10
but they might
matchup.
lose to Penn State too.
But
Whatever, it's a top 10 matchup. This is Michigan's biggest
It's a
game
big game,
so far.
but it's not
Yeah,
big.
and it's at noon though. That's so I would take Penn State if it was a night game.
Ditto.
Honestly,
Ditto.
I think
Really,
noon.
you really even go back. Like Michigan lost that game, and it didn't even hurt them much. They didn't fall out of the top 10.
But that is
That also has to do with
because
Michigan
of
State
the other
losing last
stuff
week.
that has
Right.
happened.
It did hurt him if Michigan State would have won last
Even
week.
before Michigan State lost, Michigan never fell out of the top 10. It did not hurt them at all.
Well, again, if Michigan State beat Purdue, it absolutely would have.
They lose this game, it's over. They win this game,
but
it
if-
all comes down to Ohio State.
Right, because we know what happened. But I'm saying, like, if we lost to Michigan State beat Purdue, it's over anyways.
All right. Fair enough.
I mean, it's a huge game.
All right, I
game.
see what you're saying. I see what
Yes.
you're arguing, but let me put it this way.
I'm saying stakes. You're saying
You're saying that Michigan could always take one loss. Now that they've taken
Yes.
one loss,
They can't take any more.
There was more hype, more excitement around Michigan State than there is around this game. And if you reverse them, like and it was now Michigan versus Michigan State at this stage, undefeated, it would be bigger than like this at the same. Like that made sense. If this was Michigan, yes, because there's still more on the line. We didn't know what happened.
But
Anytime
as a-
you have a game earlier in the season, it's going to be.
But in a
less.
vacuum, Michigan State is a bigger
That's-
game.
yes.
Yes. Okay. I'm taking Michigan as
More
well.
hype for
Yes.
sure going to Michigan State than this.
But
but it actually goes all the way back to Brandon's point. Jim Harbaugh hasn't won the big one because if you even want to say Michigan State was the bigger game, they didn't win it.
Correct.
And it's
Your
like,
point.
But
Yeah, I
full
guess it is
circle.
my
this
point.
game isn't as important if Michigan State didn't lose to Purdue.
yeah, I do agree with that. Because now that Michigan
We're
State
back
has that
to, like,
loss, now it's Ohio
As
State,
important.
Michigan,
This would
Michigan
still be a
State.
massive game,
Big,
though, because
big.
you got to bank on Ohio State beating Michigan State, and it would have created like a 3-team tie at some point. Like this is the
But now it's a 3-team tie.
Very clear what's going on, right? Yes.
Yeah. Now they all have one loss. I'm taking Michigan to win the game.
Well, Ohio State is not.
It's also, can I just say something in defense
Well,
of
but
my
not
guy, Jim Harbaugh, who I don't like Michigan, but I like Jim Harbaugh. I root for Jim Harbaugh. It's a very hard needle that I have to thread here, that I want Jim Harbaugh to be successful, but I don't want Michigan to be successful. Jim Harbaugh, it is kind of crazy when you put it into perspective. Scott Frost just got another year, and everyone talked about Scott Frost and Jim Harbaugh. They're like not even close on the same planet in terms of like Scott Frost has not won, like he's not been over 500 for 4 years straight. Jim Harbaugh, even bad Jim Harbaugh, last year was obviously crazy, but even bad Jim Harbaugh has Michigan winning 8 or 9 games.
They're just not winning against
in
Ohio State,
perspective, like Jim Harbaugh is not like as bad as we've all made. He just can't beat the. He
But that's
can't
where
win the
you
big
are
game.
when you take the Michigan
Yeah,
job.
right.
Your success is based on
But
beating Ohio State.
it
and Penn
is
State.
funny that it was always like Jim Harbaugh and Scott Frost kind of lumped
No,
together. And
agreed.
Scott Frost is like objectively just been terrible at Nebraska. Michigan has been good for any other program. Nebraska
Have they?
would.
I-
Yes.
They just haven't beat Ohio State like the-
Nebraska-
Last year they were bad. They were what, 5?
Well, that
Yeah,
was-
Last
last
year
year
was-
was terrible. Nebraska, any Nebraska fan would give anything to have Michigan's last 5-year run with Jim Harbaugh versus what Scott
Yes.
Frost has produced.
I mean, Scott Frost had to take a discount to be able to coach again next
Kind of
year.
right, but they also fired Bo Pelini for the exact same run.
Yeah, no. Bo Pelini
Close.
was better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They fired.
Way better.
They fired
you're
Bo
saying,
Pelini.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just funny when you think about it in perspective. Well, I mean, what's Michigan won? I mean, he won. He was 6 inches away from the playoff.
26.
He won 10 games.
So
he
he's
won 9.
been 10-3, 10-3, 8-5, 10-3, 9-4.
I mean, that's
Nebraska would love that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
9-4 is not going to cut
Nebraska hasn't gone to a bowl game in 5
right.
years.
Right. It's not going to cut it
And
at
Michigan
Michigan.
matters who the 4 is.
Right. Yes,
Correct.
exactly. But
That's the difference. But I'm just saying it's very funny how we frame everything when we're like Scott Frost and Jim Harbaugh, what a disaster. It's like Jim Harbaugh has not been a disaster. He just hasn't been beating Ohio State or Michigan State. He
which
can't
is
win the big one.
which is what Michigan expects.
Yeah.
Whereas Nebraska just wants something at this point.
Yeah, and again, I'm looking Brady Hoke 11-2, 8-5, 7-6, and then he had that 5-7. That's they've each. So he hasn't. There hasn't. I don't know what.
He hasn't
before
bottomed out
Nebraska.
besides the COVID year.
They're kind of where they were before.
Yeah.
In the COVID year just doesn't count. Let's go back to the SEC. The SEC West, number 11 Texas A&M at number 15 Ole Miss. A&M favored by 2.5 right now. It is the night game. It's in Oxford. Dan, I know that when I talk about A&M, everybody says I'm biased, but this is a huge game.
I
for the
disagree
SEC
with
West.
that. I disagree with that every week.
Yeah, I mean, A&M has been really good. I had them very, very large last week at home against Auburn. Their defense is playing great. That was Jimbo Fisher had like the best Saturday of anyone in the country because they beat Auburn pretty handily, and then they signed the #1 recruit in the country like later that day. So Texas A&M is kind of rolling. My concern for this game, I'm taking the over in this game. The spread is a little. It's going to be tough for me to like convince myself on either side just because night game, game day, the atmosphere. I think Ole Miss will get their points. I think Texas A&M will be able to run all over Ole Miss because Texas A&M has been able. Their rushing attack is very, very good. So I'm going over 55 because the game to me feels like a coin flip, last possession type of game. So I don't really feel strongly about either side.
Brandon?
Yeah, I don't feel that at all. I see what you're going for, but I think Texas A&M is the best team in the SEC West right now. Even including,
So add
including
Texas A&M
Alabama,
to my card.
including all that.
I trust you on these.
Texas A&M is the best team in the SEC West, and Ole Miss, and this is not biased, Ole Miss has been an average team for about a month. They were good early in the season, but they've been against Liberty. They got lucky to get out there with that cover.
I agree.
They have not been a good team recently. They lost to Auburn. They didn't look good against Tennessee. Matt Corral is trying to will that team to victory, but he's a little hurt. Texas A&M's a lot better football team. It hasn't shown the records, but they're a lot better football team, and they're going to win this game.
Yeah, that's not a biased take. And I'm not saying anybody on this panel says it's biased. It's usually like if you talk shit about Ole Miss.
I
you talk
hate
shit about
Ole Miss,
Michigan.
and I'm biased
I know.
against them. They can all kiss my ass.
I added
but
Texas A&M to my card.
I think
I
that's a great
trust you.
play.
I always trust you with the SEC.
Thank you.
Might be a rude guy, but I trust you.
I knew that was going to come up.
No, it's the truth.
Not a rude guy at all.
I trust
no
you
context,
with the SEC.
rude guy. No context.
Trust you with the SEC.
Dave, what do you think about this game?
Tough game, clearly. What time's the game at?
7.
7. Night game.
Game day will be there,
Game
yeah.
day, Ole Miss.
In the Grove.
In the Grove.
Best tailgate.
So
in the country.
That's not true at all.
I have been
Take the bait every time. Every single time.
watching Ole Miss pretty religiously. They were my mortal lock last week. I was lucky to get away with it against Liberty, 24-0 at half, and then they basically didn't score, got an interception at the end. I think they're going to be up for this game. I think they're kind of looking ahead, even though it was Hugh Freeze. I think Ole Miss is pretty good. I still think they take out who was there? I forget their other. I know they got smoked by Alabama.
Auburn.
And
31-20 at Auburn.
Okay, 31-20. That's fine. I can live with that game. I think they come to play here, and I think they get a big win. I think Lane Kiffin gets a big win in Ole Miss.
I'm going to take A&M. I mean, Dan, you mentioned it, and Brandon, you've said it as well. Like A&M's defense is just absolutely a monster right now. I think Ole Miss, we hyped them up a whole bunch. I mean, if you just take what A&M did to Auburn last week versus the way Ole Miss played against Auburn, I'm going to take A&M, and I don't think it's
That's a dangerous precedent.
Why?
To take the transitive property of how
Well,
you
that's
did
what
against
we
Auburn,
do.
how they did against Auburn.
That's what we do. But A&M's defense is better than Auburn's defense.
It's also just old reliable. What travels? Defense, running the football.
Yeah, this is something I'm going against you, kind of finesse team. I think the quarterback is spectacular. I don't think Corral, I don't think he's nearly as hurt. He's limping when the play's over
Every play.
and going full speed.
Yeah, he's a drama queen.
Yeah.
During,
Well, and
during-
Calzada got hurt last week too, but he ended up
acting.
being fine.
He's full of shit.
They just popped.
He's a bad
his
person.
shoulder.
I wouldn't go that far. So I'm looking. I mean,
Also, shout out Ole Miss. I don't know why they apologized for that tweet. That's
Yeah.
college football.
Yeah.
What they did after the game against Hugh Freeze, come on. Don't apologize. Ole Miss is a great institution with great morals.
yeah, guys, I just don't see it. I mean, we're looking at that Auburn at Auburn. At Auburn's a tough place to play. I'm looking at
Alabama as well.
Yeah, well, they got smoked. I'm throwing that out, and I'll give them a look ahead with A&M coming around the corner. But you say they didn't play good at Tennessee. I say in that environment, going in and beating Tennessee,
Got hit with golf balls by you.
pretty good win. LSU's showing spunkiness. They beat them by 2 touchdowns. I think Ole Miss is for real.
I mean, there's definitely a lot to be said. Here's the thing for me is that A&M is still in the hunt, which is crazy at number 11, but they still are. So they're going to also be up for this game because they.
Well, there's no debate. I mean, 7-2, they're both in the hunt.
No, I don't think Ole Miss can make it to Atlanta.
Who knows?
I mean, that's true.
It's true.
It's true.
Who even knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
Does anyone?
No.
No one knows.
Why can't because
The reason A&M can make it is because they have the win over Bama and
Right.
Ole Miss doesn't.
Right.
well, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen, but
A&M
Alabama would
could-
have to lose twice, and that's just not possible.
Another game, you mean?
To let Ole
Yes,
Miss in,
to
yes.
let Ole Miss.
Another game.
Twice.
They would have to
More?
lose twice.
Two more
Two
games.
more.
They'd have to have
Right.
3 losses.
Because they
lose
have to lose.
They'd have to lose to Arkansas and
Yes.
Auburn to finish the season.
Okay.
And A&M, I mean, has the win over
Right.
Alabama. So if they went
Ole
out,
Miss
they
wouldn't
would
have the
beat Alabama.
tiebreaker. A&M would.
Yeah. So if A&M wins the rest of their games, they're going to Atlanta.
Doesn't Alabama has
if
to lose
Alabama
to
has to
Auburn?
lose,
Yes.
to Auburn.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they don't control their own destiny.
I
No,
still,
but for
Whatever.
Ole Miss to jump it, Alabama would have to lose
Bogged down
twice.
a lot.
oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
a lot,
a lot,
because
a lot.
I'm
I
looking, if Ole Miss runs the table, that
They're not going to because they have to play in Starkville Thanksgiving night. They're not going to win that fucking game. We're a lot tougher than they are. We're a lot better football team than they are, and
kick.
nobody
A
knows it.
lot of hypotheticals.
Huh?
You don't have a kicker.
Won't need a kicker that night.
he got roasted. I saw that. Well, listen, the ball. I'm rolling with Ole Miss. Prettiest uniforms, great environment. I like Lane.
You've never been there. You don't know if it's.
Unbelievable environment.
It is, the
What's
Grove,
it like?
I've been there. I've
it
been
like?
there.
You ever seen The Land Before Time? At the last scene when they open up and it's like the whole. That's what Ole Miss looks
I
like.
don't say girls are pretty anymore, but that's what I've heard.
I'll say it for Dave.
I'll
Girls are pretty at Ole Miss.
I will also say it for Dave. Girls are pretty at Ole Miss, and I've been to the Grove, and it's
everywhere. and
pretty awesome.
Every college has
Okay.
pretty girls. It's not a.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna make. You,
I'm rolling with Ole Miss here.
okay, and I'm rolling with A&M.
And go.
Okay, high noon trivia with rude Brandon Walker over there. High noon hard seltzer is
rude.
made. I mean, I'm just following your
not
lead.
rude, no,
Okay,
he's
not weird. Okay. Real vodka, real juice for real fans. Only 100 calories, gluten-free, no added sugar. The perfect drink for game day. Real vodka, real juice. Just for real fans like you, Brandon. Hating the Grove down there.
Last week's winner at Teddy's Takes 123. That's definitely a burner account, but congratulations to him. Hashtag High Noon Trivia. Fans submit your answer. The two highest single-season rushing touchdown totals ever recorded were
that's
37
easy.
and 33.
Yeah.
One was by a player from a Big 12 team. One was
Yes.
by a player from
Monty
the Big 10.
Ball.
Name both players.
Barry Sanders.
I don't know the other one, but Monty Ball's the easy one.
Monty Ball and Barry Sanders,
I think he ended up with 39, did he not?
33. 33.
Ron
Might have-
Dane?
Huh?
Why did I think? Oh, he might have scored. No, Monty Ball's the answer for Big Ten.
Well, I've had a good season. I've had a really good season. I came here with way too easy of a question because you got Barry Sanders and you got Monty Ball immediately.
I can't
So,
believe Barry Sanders. That is very obvious. I mean, you had to know. I would have known Monty Ball.
I thought you might say Melvin Gordon. I thought you might
no.
say Ron
Monty
Dane.
Ball
I thought-
was insane that season.
I think that's the
There's
first
so
time
many
that
I made a
Wisconsin running
shirt.
backs.
I
There's
made
so
a
many-
shirt that had just a
There's so many
pile of
Wisconsin running backs.
touchdowns when we went to the Rose Bowl.
It's very easy if I get it because I'm terrible at trivia. My brain doesn't have room for anything that happened in more than 10 seconds.
But that was the
Prior.
Rose Bowl against Oregon.
Barry Sanders
I
had
was there.
37. And
Barry Sanders is the greatest running back of my generation.
so, who was third in the Heisman Trophy voting in 1988? That is your question. Who is third in the Heisman Trophy voting in 1988?
That is,
love
yeah,
it.
fantastic.
That's your question.
You could like see that working through your head. Which year are you just going to pull out?
Well, Barry
Okay.
Sanders won it in 88. I don't know who was 2, and I don't know who was 3, but you can figure it out.
Hashtag High Noon Trivia. Let's get to the weekend preview part 2, presented by Sling. Number 19, Purdue at number 4, Ohio State. Ohio State favored by 20.5 at home. Total at 61.5. Dave, I will let you start with
Pretty
this.
basic.
Wait,
Uh-oh.
I just wanted on the record. I was right. He had 39 touchdowns that year.
Who, Monty Ball or Barry
Yes,
Sanders?
no, he had not 39
Is that overall?
Yes, overall 39
That's
touchdowns.
not rushing
tying
touchdown.
Barry Sanders. Oh, it was only rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
But I do remember the number 39. I'm sorry.
Semantics.
I remember
Semantics.
the number 39.
33 rushing.
39 was a big number. He
Larry
it was Barry
Zonka.
Sanders, yes.
Semantics.
Yeah.
Okay, Purdue at Ohio State.
Zonka was 39, right, Brandon?
I thought he was 11. Was he 39?
11.
It wasn't. It was 39 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
What was Larry Zonka?
Eleven.
On the Dolphins,
I
he was
wasn't
definitely
born
39.
then.
Larry, you're a Dolphins fan.
I'm a Dolphins fan, but I'm not Frank. I'm not. He was born then. I
No, do you know who Larry Zonka is?
39.
fullback. I know. Yeah, and he was on American Gladiators.
39. Good job, Dave.
11.
Remorse.
What are we talking? 11. That's crazy.
Fine. I got his number wrong.
So much
You
argument.
think they changed the fullback
I got
law?
Larry Zonka's number wrong.
But 11. That's.
Remember when he was on American Gladiators though?
I don't.
He
Oh,
was the color
vaguely.
commentator.
Yeah. Right.
This entire show's in a blender. Purdue at Ohio State.
This is simple math. Anybody who's been doing it, Purdue coming off a gigantic win at home against Michigan State. Ohio State struggled on the road, which I don't think that was overly surprising. At Nebraska, it was sort of spunky, but I think they come back and destroy Purdue. I like the Ohio State and the over.
Dan?
I agree. Dave and I, when we do these shows, when we do Wednesday, we do pick 'em in this show. It's like flip-flopping on a pick like this. Whoever gets to speak first. But I did the same spiel on pick 'em. Now he get like it's buying stocks.
Yeah.
Purdue's stock is an all-time high. Ohio State's is as low as you can get without losing. I mean, everyone's going to look at this game on Saturday morning and say Purdue just kills big teams. No. Look what they did against Wisconsin after they beat Iowa. This is after they beat Michigan State.
You guys are reading the spot right and you're reading the teams wrong. I think Purdue is going to cover this because they have two things that can slow Ohio State down. First of all, C.J. Stroud, when he plays a decent defense, hasn't been very good. This is the number one pass defense, Purdue, in the Big Ten. It's an elite pass defense.
What about their rush defense?
And they have
It's bad.
They have
bad.
They have Ohio State's pass defense is
bad.
weak, and they have David Bell, the best receiver in the country. I think they're not going to win the game. They're not going to stay within 10 points. But they're going to stay within 20 and a half. Purdue stays.
Purdue, if you can run the football, look what Wisconsin did to them. You can run it down their throat.
I don't know that I trust Ohio State the way they call plays. They're going to want to get the pass game involved. They're going to want C.J. Stroud to keep getting better. I don't think they're going to give it to Travion Henderson 35 times.
We'll see.
Ev, what do you think about this game?
I disagree with Brandon. I think they're going to run the ball a lot more. I think he realized Dave made mistakes. He should have ran the ball a lot more last week. I think that's what got us in trouble. He got too pass happy. Everyone's already said it's literally the identical spots when Purdue beat Iowa. Ohio State has looked the last 2 weeks. I think we roll them. I think we run the ball way more.
I mean, if Ryan Day is smart, he looks at that Purdue game the week after they beat Iowa. I think Wisconsin had maybe 4 passes in the second half. Just ran it. Ran it.
I think Trevion gets 25-30.
And we're right about the time. This has been a very repeatable season from Ohio State. Lose early, have their flashes, lull in the middle, and then finish like a house of fire.
Yeah. I'm going to agree. I know you guys don't always necessarily like when I agree with you, but I'm going to take Ohio State and the over.
Well, he
as well.
disagrees, so.
Well, no, I'm just talking about you. Yeah.
I just have
You two are the only ones that matter to her, apparently.
No, that's not true.
It's marital spat. It's unbecoming.
He's been in a bad mood for a while.
Dan told everybody I was rude, and that's not right.
I didn't.
Who cares about being rude?
I also, for the record,
Well, no,
I
you-
didn't say he was rude. Nate and Brandon had a rude off, and Brandon lost.
Yeah, Brandon is. Here's the difference. Brandon's rude, and he knows he's rude. Nate is rude when he's trying to be nice.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a very, very, very apt point. It's true.
It is true.
I mean, he knows how to read people. What do you want me to say?
Let's go to the Big 12. Number 8, Oklahoma. Number 13, Baylor. Dan, I will start with you. Oklahoma is still undefeated. Now they've got Caleb Williams at quarterback, so they look like a different team. Do you think that they can finish the season out undefeated?
I mean, great bye week for Oklahoma. I know that sounds crazy to say, but everyone else didn't look good, and Oklahoma just sat at home, and people kind of forgot about them. Now they get to come back, hopefully for them, get a big win at Baylor. I think Baylor, though, is going to cover this spread. I think Baylor's going to play them tough. Oklahoma, I mean, when they play tough defenses, they can struggle at times. So I think 5.5. Give me Baylor 5.5. Oklahoma maybe wins by a field goal, but Baylor's my play.
Brandon?
Yeah, I'm going to agree fully with him because I believe in Dave Aranda. I believe in the coach. I believe in what he's building. They're not as good a team as Oklahoma, but Oklahoma has not shown any ability to put these teams away. They didn't put Kansas away. They didn't put Tulane away. They haven't put anybody away. I think they've covered 2 spreads this year. Give me Baylor at home. They're not. I don't think they win the game, but I think this is a fourth quarter game, and 5.5 is comfortable for me.
Dave?
Resident genius, Kelly in Vegas, was all over TCU last week. That's who beat Baylor. Sandwich spot, looking ahead. They're geared towards this game. I actually think they win the game.
Jerry Kill.
Jerry Kill, as long as he can stay
TCU.
upright. I'm going to take Baylor. I think they win the game.
Okay, I'm going to take Oklahoma. I'm going to go against you guys. I think that Caleb Williams, I know he played against Kansas. They just did not give a shit about that game. Oklahoma knows at number 8, they're going to have to start.
You don't have to give a shit about Kansas to kill Kansas.
Yeah, right.
No,
And
I know,
think
but I'm saying like that was like every year Oklahoma has a game that you're just
No,
like,
they've had
what
like
the
6.
fuck?
Oklahoma is.
But with Spencer Rattler.
Oklahoma is the exact same team as the Kansas City Chiefs this year, where you just expect them to start turning it on offensively, and maybe it's not there. Maybe they just won't cover any spreads.
I think that with Caleb Williams, they are a much better offense. A lot of those games that we're talking about had Spencer Rattler
Caleb
starting.
Williams played Kansas.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that game was like an aberration to me.
I think that's fair. And listen, I hate Oklahoma. I'm never on them. I'm trying to keep looking for like old stats. But the weird thing about football is, and Kansas obviously, I don't know, horrible. You can't a lot of times turn on like mid-game. It's like once you're in one of those things, you're like stuck in it.
Right.
But, you know, they beat at Kansas State.
The miracle cover.
That's a miracle. They dominated that game.
That's their best win.
Texas, they came roaring back.
Yeah, but look at
Texas
what
State,
Texas
yeah,
is.
Yeah, TCU, they won by 20. So and then Texas Tech, they won by 30. You throw out that Kansas, since they made the QB change, they've won by like 30 every week.
Right, they're completely different offense. So
But this is the best team they will have
You know
played.
what? I can't believe I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm switching.
You talked
I
yourself
talked
into it.
myself
You
into
saw it.
Oklahoma.
You saw it.
Because I think what you guys are saying is like, yeah, Baylor. I think Oklahoma has this game pinned.
I think this is the first time you
They're
and I
off a
have
bye.
ever agreed
Yeah, I'm
about
taking Oklahoma.
For like last
And I
4
actually
years.
somehow fucking really like it. How do you do that?
Yeah, you
love
just
it.
did it though. I watched it happen.
Yeah.
It makes me very happy.
Yeah, I
We've
really
never
like
agreed
Oklahoma.
in the history of us working
Shit.
together on Oklahoma.
No, I know.
There it is.
It's
Okay.
more indictment of Baylor, but I think people are looking at that Kansas thing.
Completely.
And I don't think that's been indicative of them since they made the QB switch.
Absolutely. I'm glad we're on the same side of that. Let's go to the locks of the week. Remember, somebody on this panel is going to get $50,000. Brandon and Dave still tied at 8-2.
Good job, Brandon. You won both yours, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
It's been a battle.
It's been a battle, yeah.
This is,
heavyweight
We're both
fight.
on
Balboa
streaks.
versus Creed.
We're both on
Yeah,
streaks.
I mean, you guys would have to have an absolute just meltdown, but I mean,
one of
we
us
had-
is going to win.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
going to feed your kids. Dave's going to throw a party. So,
Correct.
which one of you would like to go first this week?
Doesn't matter to me. Do you have a preference?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Let's go, Brandon.
This is a great opportunity to fade a bad team.
I didn't mean to do that, by the way, but that was funny that I did that.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, but I actually was saying, let's go, Brandon.
Yes.
Incoming hit.
Come hit
Yes.
So it's a great time to fade a bad team coming off a good result. South Carolina beat the shit out of Florida. Florida is a bad football team right now. South Carolina just got the best result they'll have this year. They now go on the road to another team that needs a win under their second-year coach, and they got some quarterback issues. Will the starter play? I don't know. I know South Carolina's down to their fourth string anyway. Missouri -1 against South Carolina at home. That is my lock of the week.
I like that. I actually like that pick.
Yeah, South Carolina beating Florida. I mean, they're not going to get back
That
up
was
to that.
stunning.
I call that.
I mean, Florida did have,
call
like,
that.
not to make any excuse for Dan Mullen, who now is on the hot seat.
Right.
But they did have, like, 30 guys out with the flu. What's that second pick?
You have 2 picks?
I always bring 2 picks, and I always make the decision. God damn it, Dan.
I mean,
What's the second pick?
What's the second pick is?
What's the second pick?
What's the second
I was
pick?
confident. I'm confident in the first pick.
The second pick is Bama under 67.5.
They're playing New Mexico State, who can't score. New Mexico State, Bama doesn't kill these teams. 67.5 is way too much. They're going to win the game like 52-0, 49-3.
That
sound
game
pretty confident
Is
in
that
that.
game at noon?
Yeah.
When is the Missouri game?
They're both at noon.
Okay. But I actually really like that pick. I'm adding it to my card.
Mizzou -1 against South Carolina. That's my lock.
Dave?
I do like both those picks. Mine's a little bit of an unusual and maybe a surprise one because you probably don't get rich doing what I'm about to do. But I'm taking the points in Knoxville. I think Tennessee keeps that game very close. I heard Big Ev grunt over there.
It wasn't a little grunt.
Yeah.
I think it was an agreeable grunt.
Unexpected.
Plus 20 is too much with the way they're playing. They're going to put points on the board. I'm expecting this to be the game that everyone looks in. Tennessee plus
So,
20.
This is bold because we all agree there's one good team.
Yeah.
I'm very well aware.
And you've found them to go against.
Correct.
Okay, that's bold.
Yep.
Respect it.
Old man. Old man.
I've said this before. I don't think it's a secret who the best team is. So the guys in the desert, they know that when they factor this line. 20 is too much. Too much.
You're saying they didn't do a good job when they came up with this line.
Well, no, because they're that good that you can see it. It's like this is the right line for people to bet, but the reality of the situation is you can't give Tennessee. Well, that's why I keep saying if the quarterback gets hurt, it's done. But I don't know.
Brandon's eyes were like twinkling when you made that pick.
No, I'm fine.
He took Tennessee.
I respect the pick.
Okay. All right. Ev, what do you got?
So we already talked about it. Everyone kind of disagreed with me. My lock's Penn State -1. I said it the whole week that Ohio State played Penn State. I think Penn State's a better team than Michigan and Michigan State. I think they're just a better football team, an elite defense. I think they win the game at home. I like Penn State.
They lost to Illinois.
They did.
They did lose.
Quarterback was still banged up. I think Illinois is a little bit better than people give
I
them
don't know
credit
about
for.
that. That's one of those games that we're talking about Kansas, Oklahoma. You just can't get
Can't
into
lose.
drive.
Right.
Like you can't shift. You're like
But you also can't be considered a good team.
Agreed.
And lose to those teams.
No, that's fine.
offense. It does have them going a little bit in the right direction, but there's levels to college football that if you want to be considered a really good team, you can't lose to the bottom of your division.
No, that's fair. I think they get the win. I just think their defense is really, really good. Even though they lost again, they ran all over them, but they held them to, even after the 2.0 OTs, 18, 20
When you
points.
say they ran all over them, that's not doing it justice. They ran for 350.
I said they ran all over them. I was
75.
clear.
Yeah.
I think it's,
375.
they ran all over them, 100%.
A lot of yards. Dan, what do you got?
So this is going to either suck or be great for me because my game of the year is on Thursday night. I'm going to give it. I've already given it out on Pick'em, so I'm on the record. Pitt -6 at home against UNC. UNC off of a huge win against Wake. Rushed the field, beat a top team. UNC, this is their first game on grass since week 1. Team that wants to play fast, team that wants to run up and down. Also, the grass at Heinz Field sucks. There was a Monday Night Football game 3 days ago on that field. I think Pitt's still playing for the ACC title game. I think Pitt's still playing for Kenny Pickett to get to New York City. I think Pitt is going to win this game, and UNC can't tackle. Pitt's going to have enough defense. Pitt -6, game of the year.
Love it. I love the passion behind it.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, Brandon. Brandon's doing weird facial expressions.
I'm not doing weird facial expressions.
What do you
You
think
are.
about that, Brandon?
The only weird thing, and I know the answer is going to be because you probably researched it, right? North Carolina doesn't play on grass.
No, they play on field turf.
They play on fake turf.
They've played every single game except Virginia Tech, which they lost,
Right.
on field turf.
They look terrible,
They
too.
played Georgia Tech away at the Georgia Dome.
And this is famously bad grass at
They
Heinz.
played Notre Dame at field turf.
Okay.
Notoriously bad grass. And there was a Monday Night Football game 3 days ago.
I like it. I like
Torn
the
up a
pick.
little bit, yeah. We've already talked about this game, but I'm going to take A&M -2.5. Ole Miss is 0-4 against the spread as underdogs this year. Shout out Katie Stats for that. And the under is 4-0. And I think A&M is just a better team. So I'm going to take A&M -2.5.
Wait, what was that stat?
Ole Miss as an underdog is 0-4 against the spread this year. And they are an underdog.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, because they only got two.
They've only got two losses.
I'm against the spread.
Oh,
Right, but
just-
if you're an
the
underdog, you lose
underdog. I
the
mean,
spread,
I'm,
you lose the
like-
game.
Right, yeah.
I just-
that can't make.
That doesn't
But you
work.
understand the math on that. If
That
you're an
doesn't work.
underdog and you only have 2 losses, you can't have 4 losses as an underdog.
I'm just reading Katie Stats' paper.
Well, I know, but you
It makes no
don't
sense.
need to pass
on any
that stat
level.
off. That stat doesn't work.
You're an underdog 4
sorry,
times,
Katie.
and you don't cover. You're getting points. That would mean you lost.
Whatever.
4
I'm still
times.
Lost the
taking.
football
I'm still
game.
taking
Correct.
A&M -2.5. I'm just going. I feel bad now because we've just thrown Katie under the bus.
We haven't. You did by giving
Well,
a bad stat. You
I
misinterpreted
didn't.
the
It's just
stat.
right here. I mean, does that not say that?
As an underdog, I can't tell if she means the under
let me see.
as an
Let
underdog.
me see.
It's
Yeah,
the
let's
red.
check
The
this
red
stat.
circle. I'm just
Why
reading.
can't I?
It's
I'm just reading the
confusing to
paper.
read.
Ole Miss as an underdog, 0-4 against the spread, and under is 4-0.
Yeah,
But
Katie's the best.
Katie is the best, so
but-
this-
credit to me. I
No,
feel-
this makes sense. What are you talking about?
you can't be 0-4 against the spread if you have 2 losses as an underdog.
can't. You can't.
They have 2 losses.
You're-
They
you're-
can't be 0-4
that means you're
spread as an
catching
underdog.
points in 4 games. And you didn't
As
cut.
an underdog,
I.
they're 0-4 against.
Wait,
oh,
it can't.
That would mean they'd be
Yes,
6.
that makes sense.
no,
No.
no.
No, it doesn't. Because
They've.
Why am I?
wait, if
when
you're,
they-
if
when
you're
they-
plus 20 and
yeah.
you lose by 16, you still lost, but you
Yeah.
didn't cover. So it could make sense.
Yeah, that's.
I think it could
It
make
could
sense.
make sense.
Hold on,
yes.
hold on.
It could be
They're
just
an
because
underdog.
Lost
Who have they
twice.
been underdogs to?
Alabama,
and Auburn, right?
I will look it up.
Tennessee.
Because if you're a 10-point underdog,
Yes.
you lose
Yeah,
by
yeah.
8.
Yes, this makes sense. It's against
No,
the
but that
spread,
means you
not
lost.
straight up.
Oh,
Right, you lost.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense.
Makes
I
no
think.
sense.
It doesn't
think
make
it
sense.
does
If you're an
make
underdog
sense.
and you win the game, you've beaten the spread.
Correct.
I think it does.
Period.
They've
But
only
you
lost
could
twice.
cover as an underdog and lose.
Oh, Katie.
You could cover
Yes,
as an
come
underdog,
on,
lose, but
come on.
they would have 4
Okay, this
losses.
is-
Come on.
Correct.
I mean,
This is
okay, show
perfect
me.
ending
Makes no
to this
sense.
show.
No, it doesn't make sense.
I'm trying to
If
do
you're showing me.
No, this doesn't work.
They
Because if you're an
lo-
underdog,
She's
They
the
lost
best.
as
I
an
love her.
underdog.
It doesn't make
literally,
sense.
it's
She's my
literally
favorite
like
person
it's.
in the
I mean,
company.
This
listen,
print, though, it can't happen.
She's
It's
my favorite person
impossible.
in the company. This is a bad stat.
It has.
Yeah,
those
but
are
let's
like-
talk,
Doesn't
forget
make
the
sense.
data. Let's talk about common sense.
Yeah.
If you're an underdog,
Yes.
that means you're predicted to lose, correct?
They've also been an
So if-
underdog only twice this year.
If you're an underdog and you cover the spread,
I have it as an underdog versus.
you couldn't be. That
Ole Miss,
means
Arkansas, Auburn, Alabama.
No, they've only been an underdog twice this
Okay,
year.
well, no, the data's wrong then.
Yeah,
But
no,
never
they're
mind the
0-2. They're 0-2 against the spread as an underdog. Both of their losses,
Were
they did
underdogs.
not cover and they lost.
Tennessee was.
They
like
were
a
also
flip-flop.
favored against Arkansas.
They were favored against. They've only
As +1.
but
been underdogs twice.
Okay, all right.
I feel.
Katie, you're the best.
Your
can
Brandon's
edit
right.
this out.
It literally cannot happen. No, we can't edit. This is a mind fuck, but it
It
cannot
fucked
happen.
my mind, too.
It
Yes,
can't
it
happen.
fucked my mind, too.
Let's say you're minus 10 and you cover the spread but lose. All right, so you lose
Yes.
by 8. There's one loss, but that means
You're
four times.
You're over difficultying it. If you're an underdog and you lose against the spread, you definitely lose the game. Period. If they're 0-4 against
Correct.
the spread, that means they've lost 4 games.
Right, he's right. Yeah.
Got
Well, now we're talking. It goes back 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That's
That makes sense.
So that's
Okay,
actually
all right.
yes. Last 4 games as an underdog, they have
Well,
lost.
you
it.
misrepresented.
That
Well, I-
makes
I-
sense.
You've ruined the stat. You botched the stat. It's not fair.
This got so. That's where my mind. Where you can't.
Yeah, they've
Okay.
only been an
Impossible.
underdog twice this year.
Okay.
that
But the
makes
last
like
4
he's
times
right.
they've been the underdog, they've gone 0-4
Sure.
against the spread.
That
The
works.
last 2
Look
years,
at that. Look, we all came
I
together.
feel like I'm the only one who caught that. I was like, wait a
You
minute.
are.
That
You're
can't
very
be
much
right.
not. I was with you. We made eye contact when that happened. I caught that.
I was like, wait, can you say
yeah,
that again?
Yeah, he did. He did do that.
No, Casey, don't just say it
Well,
because it's Dave.
no,
we
but
have
he-
it. We have it on
I
tape.
mean, he
We'll
literally
see.
he said, "Can you read the
No,
stat?"
I
again?"
was
Taping when that happened.
What are we?
I mean-
No, I
It
was.
is. I mean, it's on tape.
I know it's on
It
tape.
is on tape.
Check the footage.
That was
I mean-
me and you.
No,
We worked
nobody's
together.
arguing
Well, I
that.
know for a fact. I said, wait, what'd you just say? Because I
Yes.
knew it didn't make
You
sense.
didn't do that by yourself.
Oh, I 100% did it by myself.
These motherfuckers around here.
This
I
is-
just.
They're out to
It's
get
all
you.
mine.
You're
They're
saying
out to
you,
get you, Brandon.
you're saying you piped in at the same time as I did?
I think I piped in before you did.
Ole Miss is 0-4 against the spread as underdogs this year. Shout out Katie Stats for that. And the under is 4-0. And I think A&M is just a better team. So I'm going to take A&M minus 2.5.
Wait, what was that stat?
Ole Miss as an underdog is 0-4 against the spread this year. And they are an underdog.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, because they only got 2.
They've only got
that's
2
two
losses. I was
No
an early
chance.
piper. Yes, I was.
Get a
I was-
pipe off.
Get it. Let's
Pipe
see it.
off.
Pipe off. Is it there?
See it, yeah.
They don't
See
have
right
it that
here.
quick.
Yeah, they
He's
do.
recording
Yeah,
with
they
his
do.
cell
He's
phone.
recording
No, I
with
mean,
his
he definitely is. I would like to formally apologize to Katie Stats that I just threw her into the mindfuck.
This is all your
trying
fault.
to
No, I
get
did.
you.
It's not all my fault.
You're
I
trying to pull
just,
me in.
I was throwing in a stat.
I'm not going to be rude to Dave. I'm not going to
Right.
be rude to you.
No, they're trying to get you.
I just want
Well,
to
no,
formally.
you have to put last 2 years.
Okay.
But common sense is like that couldn't be possible.
I just.
Although I say that, I got so fucking wrapped up, I didn't know what was
I
happening.
mean, you were like doing
talked
math on
yourself
your
out of it.
papers.
Yeah, that's
I
something.
had to come back and get you.
I mean,
well,
we
you
all-
hesitated for a second.
I didn't say I came back.
Yeah, you had a second where you're like, wait a minute, what the hell's
I
going on?
pulled you back out of the pool. You
You
dove
did.
right in.
Yeah, we had to have a
I wasn't
computer come in
listening.
twice.
I was just thinking about how awesome the scene's going to be in Ole Miss on Saturday night. 'Cause it's such a great fucking tailgate.
Are you going
Wait,
back or
sushi.
reporting? We got.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
see it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get that.
I mean,
we'll put it in the show.
I know from
Do
the
a
person that was
replay.
directed the question, you asked me the question.
Correct.
Yes.
Now he's saying maybe on that he's in a different country. Maybe he said at the same time. I didn't know it. I just heard. It's like, wait, that makes no sense.
Trying to get you.
No, I'm not. I'm being super fair.
No, you're not
I-
going to get me.
No, not you. They.
Oh, they.
They're trying to
Oh,
get
they're
all
bad.
trying
They're
to get him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Being a paranoid weirdo right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
All right, let's get to the top 10s. Again, the top school in the leaderboard is going to get $100,000. We're going to start with my top 10. So I did what the committee did not do. I kept it consistent. I think Ohio State is a better team than Oregon, even though they've gone head-to-head. I think Michigan is better than Michigan State, so I ranked them ahead of it. So I kept it consistent there. I still think A&M, they're sneaking up there. Notre Dame is sitting there because of Cincinnati, but I kept it consistent. I think Ohio State beats Oregon 8 out of 10 times, and I think Michigan beats Michigan State 7 or 8 out of 10 times. So I did that. We will start with Big Ev over there. I think we'll go this way.
Actually, I put Oregon ahead of them right now. They have the best win in the country. They beat us. But I think at the end of the day, it's not really going to matter if they both win out. They're both going to be in the playoff. I have Oklahoma higher than the people have it. I just think Cincy has 0% chance, so I'm keeping it on the outside. I think no matter what happens, I think Bama with 2 losses, A&M can squeak in over them with 2 losses. I think Oklahoma State's the team that sneaky has a chance. They still only have 1 loss. It was a tough loss to Iowa State. I think if they went out, they got a really good chance to get in, and that's how I see it.
Brandon?
Casey, you're going to love this because of the arguments we've had on unnecessary roughness. I just forgot last night that you and I argued so much about Michigan State being better than Michigan. So I just put Michigan State at 10 because I was like, I got to punish them for losing last week. So I got number 1, Georgia, number 2, Ohio State, number 3, Alabama. For Oklahoma.
Oh my God.
Last week.
Oh my
I
God.
got Michigan at 7 because they won a game and Michigan State lost, so I dropped them just instinctively, not thinking about the argument I have to have.
We literally were screaming at each other at like 10 p.m. last night
I
about
know that.
this.
I forgot all about this, but I was tired yesterday.
I mean,
Oklahoma State, he's right. Oklahoma State's the most underrated team in the country. They got one road loss. It's by 3 points. They should be up in the mix with these
So
other
you think
teams.
Michigan's a better team than Michigan State?
I do not.
Right.
I just fucked up the
7
top
and
10.
10.
I understand. I messed up the top 10.
I just
think
wanted on
Michigan
record
State's a
that
better football team than Michigan.
You yelled at me last night. For
I
saying
did.
that.
I
Okay.
did. And we'll
Okay.
yell at you again, but I messed up my top 10.
Dan?
I don't remember what I have. Do we have the graphic?
You
No.
just did it.
I just did it.
Yes.
I'm
to
also
me.
tired. I got it. Here we go. Georgia, Oklahoma, Cincy, Alabama, top 4. Oh, here we go. Wisconsin, I'm going to go with the old school. For the old schoolies that know, Dave and I had the debate, 7 years ago? Arkansas, remember that year? Like, hey, they're a top 4 team right now, even though they had 2 or
Yes.
4
Yeah,
losses.
yeah.
I think Wisconsin's playing at a top 10 level right now. UTSA, I watched that entire UTSA game. Number 4 for UTSA, what's his name?
Franklin.
Wide receiver?
Franklin's
He's
last.
Calvin Johnson.
He's a beast.
He's incredible. I was
Their
like,
offense is
Their running
it's
back is
rare
awesome,
that,
too.
yeah, but this guy, when you watch a game and you're like, it's rare, like especially late Saturday night when you're kind of like, like a little dizzy from all the college action. He was so awesome. Every time they threw it to him, he scored. It was UTSA dominated UTEP. UTSA meep meep. Shout out Chaps.
gonna say
Shout out
Chaps.
Larry Coker. Put him in the top.
Chaps was very sad when we watched the first unveiling of the ESPN rankings that they didn't get any love. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you put him in your top 10.
Also, sneaky, what I did there was Ohio State or Michigan or maybe Michigan State. You want Wisconsin to be ranked as high as possible because we will see them in Indy.
It's a good point. All right, Dave, round us out.
I'm waiting for it to show on the screen. Pretty basic, I think. I don't know what anybody can really have too many issues with.
do like that
here.
number 10.
I don't like Cincinnati again. I mean, they're undefeated, so I put there, but I don't consider. I have a difference between power conference, not power conference. So I think that's a pretty basic standard. Nothing too crazy.
I would agree with that. Anything else, guys?
No.
No.
Brandon,
Great
you
show.
Okay.
Oh, I'm
I mean, I think
fantastic.
there was more arguing in this show about numbers and
We're
semantics.
just having good old football discussion.
Good-
you know?
That's
I
what it
love
is.
football.
Just
I
hanging
do
around
too.
talking
Just
football.
a lot of football. All right.
Can't wait to watch Ole Miss on Saturday night. Prime time game day.
Now you're trying. That's what
Well, I
you're
mean,
trying to do.
yeah, but that's
It's not they trying to get to me. You're trying to
but
get
that's also my lot.
I'm
so
a
you're
college.
against me.
I'm a college football fan. I love the
They
experience.
can't even have
I
fires. They don't
love-
have grills at their
I
tailgates.
love the atmosphere.
They don't have grills at their
And
tailgates.
here's what I'm going to say.
Do you like sausage?
Come to the SIP. Come party in the SIP.
They're going to get their ass kicked.
Mincy's going to be, the Destroyer will probably be there if
I don't
know
know.
him.
I don't know. Nate Silver has him off balance right now. He got. I know, but
booted
he's
him.
like rattled.
What do you mean?
You didn't see the video after.
Nate Silver put his ass out.
Booted him.
And then
He destroyed the destroyer.
and he's become like me, revenge. He's like, I'm obsessed with Nate Silver. I need revenge.
Oh, he did. I think he asked
Very
me what we were doing
unlike-
before.
Casey, I just got a text from Mintz. It says, please send me Nick Terraney and Casey Smith contact info and thank you. I don't know what
Wrap
Well,
this
that's-
because
yeah,
oh,
okay. All
great.
Okay.
Nate Silver put him in a body bag, and now he's upset. He's having nightmares about it. So he's like, again, to use it, he's just, how do I get Nate Silver? How do I get Nate Silver?
We'll see you guys next
Our
week.
our crack poker staff that
you gonna help
always
him?
says they're the best ever and can't make it through day 1 or 2. Poker guys are the best. I'm the best. I got bad luck. When I get great cards, I'm tough to beat.
We will see you next week.
One thing to remember when you're gambling on the Barstool Sportsbook app, make sure that you gamble responsibly, know your odds, know your chances of losing.
Gamble responsibly. Nobody wants to end up in a trash can.
You can play with Penn National, which is a licensed and regulated operator. Big words. If you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.